Hallo, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Khushamdi. Ji ayaru. Goedemorgen. Ispata.
Bukhair agale, ni hao, tune shumme, washmale, ohai genzaimes, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal, hale shuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, suavia, bhalli ke rahe hain. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning into PTV World. You watching World this morning alongside the very fantastic, the very amazing Shiza Hashmi. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan. It's a very sunny morning over here in Islamabad, but we hope and pray that everybody out there is ready to kickstart their day with us. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that it's about time that I'm going to ask my co-host, hello Shiza, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. Yes, it is indeed a very hot day over here. And
Yeah.
I feel like, Shazad, I have to maintain that humidity has gone down. The
I think it has
temperature.
gone up.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's the opposite for me. Well, I do live on a sixth floor, so maybe it doesn't reach me for that matter.
Probably.
But I feel like, in terms of the intensity of heat, it's quite, it's gone down.
It's tapering down.
Because
the
it's
days are getting shorter.
because I can relate sort of in a way that around 5 I used to go out. So I talk about my
yoga?
yoga class. Yeah, again,
Yeah.
that's what I talk about. But so we have it in an open space, right?
Yeah.
In a lawn, and it's very beautiful. So like 1 or 2 months prior, I would die just at 5 o'clock because you're sweating and also you're working. It's insane. But now it's really, really pleasant.
Okay, so I'm going to draw a comparison, and it's because of the fact that that since I go to the gym every single day as well. So yesterday I had difficulty breathing.
Oh.
So indoors I think it's more hot, and outdoors it's actually quite better than the way it is indoors as well. So for everybody who's out there, we don't know whether the humidity has gone up literally or it has come down.
I think it's
But
come
other
down.
than
I
that,
promise
please-
you guys.
Yeah, but other than that, I think that all we need to do is probably have our air conditioners turned on, which unfortunately are not turned on today. But okay, I think that we literally have to live with it as well, and there are situations
doing that.
and there are situations in life with which you really need to live with, and you cannot kind of have a blind face to that as well, or a blind eye to that as well. And it's because of the fact that we are stronger people, and that's what that is something which I wanted to talk about today as well. That that there are going to be so many incidents in your life, or God forbid, there are going to be so many problems or hiccups, or things which you might think that okay, Allah Mia, why me? But ladies and gentlemen, I think that the approach should always be try me. This is something I wanted to talk about. Shiza, what is your take on this? That when life throws hardships to you, what do you do to overcome those hardships?
All right, so I really believe in the fact. First of all, I have to say I'm so happy we have separate seats
Yeah,
now.
I'm very happy. I
There's
feel
so
like a
much
king,
room
man.
for us to
I
move.
feel like a king.
I know, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I do agree with you. Of course, you should have that attitude of whatever adversity life throws at you. You have to be, headstrong in the face of that,
Yeah.
definitely. But Shazad, I now have a little different approach to where you said that there are situations in life where you have to keep going. But there are also situations in life where you have to draw a line.
Where you have to put your foot down.
Definitely, for sure.
No.
You're only human, first of all.
Yeah.
Yes, this might be Allah's test for you, but that does not necessarily mean you have to take all the, crap going around for that matter. Sorry to use this word early in the
got it.
morning as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like you definitely need to sometimes draw a line because there are certain types of people who will just keep taking from you, just sort of consume the best from you.
Yeah.
That is where you have to, tell them, okay, this is the limit. And
So, which is why, just yesterday I was actually reading a book and I came across this very amazing writing, and the author says.
did you save it for me?
Yeah,
to
yeah,
have some
I've
motivation?
saved it for everybody who's out
Okay.
there as well, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to read it out for you guys. So it's like basic 10 points that God forbid, when you are going to be on your deathbed, okay, nobody wants to think about it. What are those things which will come to your mind and you will regret them? So it's a not to do list. I'm going to share with you all like four
Interesting.
or 5 points, that okay, while Alhamdulillah Allah has actually blessed you with a lot of health, with a lot of dignity, and you're living a good life, and you have your kids around, and your support system is around as well. These are the few things which we need to make sure that you do not do your entire life.
Let's
so okay,
learn
the
5
first one
today.
is you reach your last day with the brilliant song that your life was meant to sing, still silent within you. Number 2, you reach your last day without ever having experienced the natural power that inhabits you to do great work and achieve great things.
Okay.
Number 3, you reach your last day realizing that you never inspired anyone else by the example that you set. you do not need to do that, all right? So number 4, you reach your last day full of pain at the realization that you never took any bold risks, and so you never received any highest awards. Yeah, number 5, you reach your last day understanding that you missed the opportunity to catch a glimpse of mastery because you bought into that lie that you had to be resigned to mediocrity as well. So these are the things, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to upload all 10 points as well, but on live television, I think it feels like a drag as well. So these are the 5
No,
points.
but
Please
they
make
make
sure
sense.
that you don't do that. Yeah, make sure that you take those bold chances. Make sure that you capitalize on opportunities. Make sure that you inspire people. And while I was reading all of these 10 points, I thought to myself, hey, thank God, man, we're not doing that. Alhamdulillah.
I know, thank God, Alhamdulillah, again. But I feel like for a lot of people to read this, first of all, must be a realization of where they are in their life, right?
But imagine if somebody's reading it already on their deathbed, man. God forbid, they might not
I
feel all
mean,
right.
well, of course, sending a lot of wishes to them, first of all. But yes, I really hope and feel whatever phase of life you all are in right now, that it turns out to be good for you, whatever that may be. And I'm saying that because I'm pretty sure not everyone sails the same boat, right?
Yeah.
Everyone might have the same ocean, but not the same boat.
Yeah.
And storms are different for different people as well. So,
That's
well,
true.
that's that. Okay, Shazad, so what are we talking about today?
All right, so today, Shiza, we have a very important topic, and I think that we have talked about it quite a lot of times,
Yeah.
but today we are actually going to directly hit the nail on the head. And it's because of the fact that, when you're given a hammer, everything is a nail to you anyway. So we have this show. We know that, we use it as a hammer. We make
We
sure
do
that we
it.
talk about public issues as well. We talk about all of those issues which actually concern the masses, which concern our audiences as well. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we've actually picked up on human security. And when we talk about human security, Shiza, it is about addressing widespread and cross-cutting challenges of the livelihood and the dignity of the people as well. And this is something which we want to talk about.
Well, that's brilliant, of course. Yes, we have spoken of it before, but nevertheless, there's always something new that we're learning. So
Yeah.
we're here again. The really interesting thing about what I feel about human security is that it was only a few, I want to say, decades back
Yeah.
that this was sort of a counter narrative to the understanding of the concept of national security. So while nations and states would work towards securing their own, well, nation at that level, this is a more, I want to say, individual approach to the people living within a state. So for example, in terms of national security, if earlier states were to think in terms of military, in terms of securing their borders, in terms of raising their defense, now the shift has actually come down to the humans living in that space. So
Yeah.
rather than defense or military, you're looking at the facilities you're providing to them in terms of social welfare. Are they going to get the right kind of education, the right kind of medicines for that matter?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so on and so forth.
Wonderful, yeah.
Well, thank you. So to understand this better, we actually have someone who's really, really apt for this conversation. Yeah, you have something to
Yeah,
add
so I
to
just
this?
wanted to add, because, for a lot of people, it might be, they might still be thinking that, okay, yaar, ye kya hai human security, So, ladies and gentlemen, imagine that, there can be natural disasters, there can be constant poverty, there can be natural disasters as well. And then, persistent poverty, we talk about economic downturn, we talk about violent conflicts. All of these things happening within a country or within a place where it's a threat to the life of other people or the livelihood or their dignity for that matter, it comes under the umbrella of human security as well. We actually have a small report to share.
Yeah.
Go ahead, take a look at this amazing report, and then we will be in conversation with somebody. Okay, so I think that what we're going to do is that we're going to move
We
the
can maybe-
report ahead,
yeah.
and then first of all, get our facts straight as well. So, ladies and
Absolutely.
gentlemen, without any further ado, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the chairperson of the Human Security Initiative as well. She happens to Miss Ifat Parvez. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum assalam. Good morning to both of you.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. And for the very first time, we are actually having a direct kind of conversation in terms of human security. And we want to kind of link it with what our constitution tells us about it as well. And not just that, we really want to kind of have a correlation between the SDGs and what human security probably is there for. So, so let's get started with what human security is and the evolution of human security, So when did we actually got to know about what human security was?
Okay, first of all, on behalf of the Human Security Institute, I'm very thankful to you and your team for providing me this esteemed platform to have a conversation on the subject which is very dear to our heart
Yeah, okay.
and which is need of the every single individual human being on this planet.
Absolutely.
So coming to the evolution of human security, so I must say, and we all believe that it dated back since the inception of the first mankind on this planet.
Okay.
Hazrat
So
Adam?
yeah, so that was the time when he needed security.
Okay.
So time actually passed on. So it converted into individual into family, family into clan,
Yeah.
clan into tribe,
Tribes, yeah.
tribe into region, and then remember the Greek city states. And from the Greek city states to the Treaty of Westphalia back in 1648, that actually gave birth to the concept of nation state.
Yeah.
And that tells us the story of that secure your border, secure your territorial border.
Yeah.
So if we go as per the definition of political scientist, so they say there are 4 main prerequisites to the state.
All right.
One is territory,
Yeah.
the second is government,
Okay.
the third is population, and then there is sovereignty.
All right.
Since the Treaty of Westphalia till today, it happens that the entities, they just went on securing the territorial borders,
Okay.
securing the government, and safeguarding the sovereignty. But what about that population which is residing inside that territorial
I was
border?
about to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So now the time has come to talk about those human beings. Those actually formed the nations, and those formed the a community, and they need to be safeguarded. So human security actually, it deals with safeguarding and hence enhancing and expanding the vital freedoms of human beings.
All right, I think it's great, and we've understood it very well as well, and we hope the same for our audiences as well. But now, when we come down to human security, you very rightfully mentioned that the security forces will actually be guarding the borders, and that too
Yes.
will be for the government to be protected and the sovereignty to be protected as well, which I believe is pivotal and important. But now, as a matter of fact, when we see the developed countries, they've moved ahead, they've moved further, and they've made sure that it's not just their borders which are actually safe, it's their people who are safe as well, which is why there are so many technological interventions, there's so many things which are taking place, even now that we actually have unmanned air vehicles as well, so that, that the death ratio, God forbid, in case of a war, is actually quite low. Now, for a country like Pakistan, or within our region, South Asia, if we speak about it, we do not have countries which we label as developed countries. Either we can label them as developing countries. For developing countries, the forefront is very different in terms of when we talk about security. Okay, we need security, we need the protection for the government, we need the protection for the sovereignty as well. But somewhere in the middle, in the haze of all of it, we forget about the people who reside within those countries as well. And since we are not able to provide them the security or the dignity our constitution even talks about. So let's shine some light on to the constitution and what it states about human security. And why do you think that we are unable to prioritize human security, even though that in this government, I have some notes
And
to
before
share.
you do mention
for people
that.
as well, because PTI, I think, is one of those political parties, ladies and gentlemen, who's done quite a lot for human security. I mean, namely, we can talk about Asas Kafalat program, we can talk about Asas Amdan program, we can talk about Asas interest-free loans, Asas Langars,
Koi
Asas
bhuka-
scholarships,
yes.
Asas registration centers, emergency call centers, and not just that, Asas Koi Bhuka Na Soye program, which has been extended to another three cities as well, namely Multan, Gujranwala, and Lahore. So it's great. But why do you think that for the last 70 years we were unable to prioritize human security?
Yes, unfortunately, the human security is such a subject which was neglected. Since Treaty of Westphalia, it was neglected, I believe so. Yes. So it was the year 1994 that United Nations Human Development Report that came up, and
And a resolution was passed, right?
yeah, the resolution was passed, and a lot of people, they still do not know that who was the guy who actually coined this term human security in United Nations.
All right.
Let us know, please.
He was none other than Mehboob ul Haq, our former foreign minister.
Wow.
He was a
Brilliant.
Pakistani origin guy.
Mashallah.
So he proposed that human beings, they must be secure and they must be the referent object of security.
True.
So based on his idea in United Nations, then there are a lot of school of thoughts. They came up with different ideas. For example, Barry Buzan, he talked of he talked of the human security, and human must be the referent object of the security. Coming to the Constitution of Pakistan, luckily and fortunately, our Constitution, from the Article 9 to 28, they all tells a story of human rights, human freedom, human liberty, and hence the human security. They talked of the right to education, right to live, right to vote. So if we comprised all of these constitutional guarantees which our Constitution of 1973 provide us, luckily, so we can cluster them into economic security, all the dimensions of security. So there are, in nutshell, there are almost, I believe, 8 dimensions of human security.
Yeah, okay.
There are health security, food security, political security, and there is a one another term which currently is ongoing, and it is an ongoing debate to add the demographic security into the human security after observing and witnessing the case in Kashmir.
Of course, of course.
So there must be something like demographic security and information security as well.
But
So-
sorry, of course, you're brilliant
I
at
think we have a
explaining
breach
this.
on every security level.
Yeah, that is where I was
Yes.
getting,
God
but
forbid, yeah.
in polite words as well. But you know, where you're talking about demographic security, isn't that, how can that exist at the same time that UN recognizes occupational capacities of nations as well? For example, there are still powerful states who are into occupation, and there are rules set out that, okay, the occupying state might do this, 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 not that, that, that. So while also recognizing that, how can you recognize demographical security, first of all?
Wonderful question.
Secondly, you spoke about how, you know, Buzan and similar, later on, human development became a subject, and it was only, I think, in the beginning of this century or the end of the last one.
Yes.
So in terms of Pakistan, even Pakistani scholars, and including those with the likes of Hamza Alawi or similar, have pointed fingers at Pakistan's human security, saying that it still disguises human security as national security because we're all about defense. First of all, do you agree with that? And secondly, let's get to that demographical security.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay. So the later comes first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a misconception that, you know, now the human security actually jumps in to the realm of security. So
national security,
So
for
the
that.
national security is completely diluted. God forbid. No,
Okay.
national security, it is still there.
Yeah.
How a nation state and a state like Pakistan, while having the sort of enmity on the eastern and western both of the borders, how we can live without the term national security.
Yeah.
We can't, of
So we
course.
believe, we at the Human Security Institute, we are there to actually clarify this thing, this misconception that yes, human security is important, number one. Number two, it has not replaced national security at all.
Okay.
Okay.
Number
Okay.
two, and number three, it complements the national security.
All right.
Believe-
Interesting.
Believe if humans, they are politically secure, they are
Or
economically
I think
secure.
it can be vice versa or vice versa as well, because I believe that national security actually contributes to human security.
Yeah,
Eventually.
yeah,
well,
that
yes.
is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Okay.
That
Go
is
on.
So moving on.
Yes. So moving on, we at the Human Security Institute, we believe that human security is important because human beings, they are the referent object of security, but national security is still intact. So there are no question marks that human security replaces the national security. The case is not like that.
Okay. Okay.
So it's obviously two things which are going to contribute to each other, and
To
obviously
each other,
the results
can
going to be
coexist.
I
maybe.
believe, yeah, coexist, and Shiza also strengthen.
All
The
right.
human security strengthen the national security,
But
and
that is
as
if
you
they
pointed out, it is vice versa.
But
Exactly.
that is a very idealistic scenario if the state tries to make sure that national security stays that for the sake of sovereignty, and then human security stays for the sake of the
Yes.
betterment of human lives. But now coming to my second part of the question, sorry Shazad,
Yeah,
I
yeah, go
really
ahead,
want
go
to
ahead.
understand this demographical security you spoke about. What will that entail if that comes into being?
Okay, Shiza.
Or does it exist already?
I don't think so.
That does exist.
Okay.
In one way or the other, that exists, and we believe and we hope and we pray that that must exist
On paper as well.
on paper as
Yeah.
well. Taking the Kashmir IOK
Yes.
into consideration, it is very unfortunate case, and it is the clear violation of international law.
Of course.
Not only the international law, the domestic law of the Indian state, which claims to be the largest democracy in the world.
But they abolished that law
They,
na,
they,
before doing
they
this.
abolish
Yeah.
exactly. They abolish her own
Yes.
created and her own formulated law for the sake of just making some maker and shaker of the world happy.
Right.
But this is not the right approach. We believe a lot of question mark has been put on the face of India in this regard,
Definitely.
that what
Yeah.
it is doing, and the atrocities which actually India is carrying out since 5th of August 2019 till today. We at the Human Security Institute, we
Observed.
we actually observed 5th of August as a Black Day. We
Day.
compiled a very comprehensive documentary. I'll share with you both
Please do that.
on the, and that actually comprised upon the primary data.
All right.
What India is doing in IOK since 5th of August till today, it is miserable, believe you me.
It is, and it's been more than 2 years as well. You
More
know,
than
since,
2 years.
We've been observing the 5th
Yes.
of August as the Siege Day or Black Day as well.
Yes.
But
So that was the time when we appealed to the all the maker, shaker, and breaker of the international politics and
Okay.
of course of the
we've
national
been doing it for
politics.
so long.
Sorry.
We have been doing it for so long.
For so long,
Yeah.
but since this time, it was the first year of the Human Security Institute, so we played our due part.
Okay.
And we actually appealed that yes, Kashmir is a political issue, but it is humanitarian issue as well.
Of course.
At least we can revive the very minor, tiny aspects of human security which they were having had,
True.
and in the Indian illegally occupied Kashmir.
So did someone register that appeal or acknowledge that, someone with power? You know what I mean?
Yes, for power, yes, they must, and we, as I already mentioned, that we played our due part.
you did the
we,
best
We
thing.
are, yeah, and we are in a process of compiling our post-event report, and we are trying our best to disseminate our report as much as we can. So let's
That's
see
wonderful,
what
and we
happen.
will definitely try to kind of share your report over here on this esteemed platform, as you mentioned as well.
Yes.
But very quickly, you know, towards the end, okay, we really want the correlation in between the human security and SDGs. That's for sure, obviously, very important. Not just that, when we talk about Human Security Institute, obviously there's a lot of research going on. You know, there are a lot of people who are researching day in, day out, talking about human security. So can we draw a difference of where we were, you know, kind of 30 years ago and where we are now in terms of human security? Or do you think that we're doing better? Do you think that we need to do quite a lot of other things, or probably take other initiatives under consideration to make situation better?
Okay, well, I would say that it is a long journey and it is a long way to go.
True.
But we don't believe on revolution, we believe in evolution. So things are evolving. In a
Evolution is
better
slow,
manner.
Man, I like revolution better than
It is
evolution.
it is as a on the scholarly side,
Of course, I understand.
evolution is always better because
course.
revolution brings a lot
It's
of
chaotic, definitely.
Challenges
chaotic
to
and
human security
bloodshed.
once again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Revolution again bring a challenge to and threat to human
Brilliant.
security.
Yeah.
So we are not in a favor of revolution.
I agree. I agree.
Okay.
So it's better to evolve.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's better to evolve. Things are evolving in a better manner. The way human security is an evolving subject, the human security aspects and facets in Pakistan, they are also evolving on slow pace, but still they are evolving. The current government of Pakistan, it is playing its very veteran part
Yes.
into enhancing and ensuring the human security, as you have already mentioned, through SARS program.
Yeah.
And on the environmental security, they have Clean Green Pakistan and Million Tsunami,
Million tree tsunami.
Billion Tree Tsunami project and something like that. But it's a long journey, a long way to go. And one thing which is very important, there is a need to build the perception about human security first. And there is need to address the misconceptions
Okay.
that no, human security is human security and national security is national
National
security.
security.
They
It's a different
complement,
thing, yeah.
but they're different.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're different, they go parallel, they complement each other in one way or the
Yeah.
other.
Okay,
Yes.
but they should never
Number two, number two. And number three, we believe that we need to sensitize not only our masses,
Yeah.
but the policymakers,
Oh
the
my God,
executors.
thank you for saying that.
We need to sensitize
Definitely.
Yeah.
that please consider human being as a referent object of security.
Absolutely.
Because there is a one common and very a common phrase that insecurity anywhere bring insecurity everywhere,
Yeah.
and poverty anywhere
Brings poverty.
bring extremism
Okay.
everywhere. And extremism and terrorism, they both are the things which actually are the brainchild of the persistent poverty,
Exactly.
marginalization, and deprivation, of course.
And obviously a risk to human security once
Yes.
again as well. But thank you very much, Ms. Ifrit, for
Brilliant.
joining us. It was wonderful to be in conversation with you. I had a very amazing morning just because of the fact
Enlightening.
that I actually kind of got to learn something. In fact, a lot of things as well. But very quickly towards the end, I'm sorry, but I'm going to say that, obviously these standards of human security, ladies and gentlemen, vary over here in our country. I'm sorry to say that, people from all different walks of life will have different human security being provided to them by the state, by the constitution, and then obviously there's us, who certainly didn't have any idea about it as well. But yes, obviously once everybody is going to be on the same page, once everybody is going to get the same kind of feeling the state provides them in terms of human security, only then I think that we are going to proceed further and kind of prosper in terms of human security, national security, and all of these things which contribute to each other.
Absolutely, I agree with you. It was such an enlightening experience, but also it gave me anxiety just thinking about where we are right now. I'm not saying it's a bad place. We are right now laying the foundations or the pillars of human security for the future. Like we said, we're evolving, right? So evolution is slow. It's all right. But anxiety does give me, well, pimples, and I have 3 on my face right now. I want expert advice on that, but maybe after this very short break, can we do that?
Let's do that.
All
Ladies and gentlemen, a
right.
very good morning. Don't go anywhere because we truly need confidence to feel secure. All right, let's do
Absolutely.
that. Good morning.
Good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for everybody who just got tuned into PTV World. You're watching World this morning alongside my very amazing, wonderful co-host, Ms. Shiza Hashmi. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan. And just before the break, we spoke about having confidence. And obviously, you know, when we talk about the largest ever organ on this human body, which happens to be skin, God forbid, if there's something wrong with that, you lose your confidence a little bit. But
That's
is
true.
that correct? Whether it's little bit, or do you think that it's quite more than that?
I think the impact is huge,
The
Shazad,
impact is
and it
huge.
happens to everyone. Can I tell you that? So it's all right if you have at some point in your life felt that way, because, well, we all have.
Yeah.
Have you though?
No, Alhamdulillah.
Except for Shazad, we all have, except for this
Shukr,
superhuman.
alhamdulillah,
But
yeah.
yeah, my point being, Shazad, the smallest of the things might happen to you in terms of your skin, maybe on your face, the smallest of the pimples for that matter, and it does put you off for the entire day just looking at yourself. It's definitely not the right approach. We love you the way you are, definitely, and your friends and family love you the way you are. But it does take a toll on your, self-confidence, like you mentioned. There are two examples I want to talk about very quickly before we
Go ahead.
move on. Okay, so there's this supermodel, Kendall Jenner, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of girls, millions of people look up to her, and this one day she did share a picture of her with acne, and she has like proper acne.
Right.
That gave confidence to so many people, Shazad, that actually changed the face of the beauty bloggers side as well.
Yeah.
Because then everyone came without makeup on, and everyone showed their true skin. And I feel like that is a huge confidence she gave to a lot of people. We have a small report on what skin issues might occur to us living in this region and what they might do to us.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at it. When we come back, we'll be in conversation with a skin specialist.
Let's do this.
When an excess of melanin, the brown pigment that produces normal skin color, forms deposits in the skin. Hyperpigmentation can affect the skin color of people of any race. Hyperpigmentation acne may fade over time, but if the original spots were deep, it may be permanent. Although some topical and surgical therapies can speed up the fading process, it can take several months to years. On the other hand, acne is a skin condition that occurs when your hair follicles become plugged with oil and dead skin scales. It causes whiteheads, blackheads, or pimples. Acne is most common among teenagers, though it affects people of all ages. Acne scarring and post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation can both occur after a breakout, but the two are actually very different, and thus a different approach is required when it comes to fading them.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, so without any further ado, we'll actually be in conversation with somebody who happens to be a laser and skin specialist at PIMS Islamabad. Ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've actually been joined by Dr. Mubashir Daha. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shazad and Ms. Hiza. I'm glad that you have invited me here.
So
It's our
thank you very
pleasure,
much for
it's our
joining us.
pleasure.
It's wonderful to have you. So today we're discussing two things. Number one is acne, and number two is melasma as well, or
Yes.
probably, in normal terms or layman terms, we talk about pigmentation.
Yes.
So let's get started with acne. Very common over here in Pakistan. What are the causes, first of all?
The causes of acne are specifically this is the disease of the teenager and youngsters, and it started after puberty. And because after puberty, the hormonal changes are coming in the body of even male and female. So the acne starts, and after that, it may goes on. I mean, we start treatment, but it has very much chance of reoccurrence.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sir, first things first. Is it because of the higher levels of testosterone or estrogen? That's what you're trying to
In
refer to?
female, it is the higher level of progesterone and estrogen, and in the male, it is because of the testosterone.
All right.
Is
so
it
now-
always because of this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it is because of this, but there are other reasons also. If we have more sebum production, and
Oily
it causes on face, and most of the time acne occurs on face, and it also occur on on our back and also on the chest.
Yeah, this is something which I can refer to as
Yeah.
well. Kind of I can relate with that. In fact, not refer to, because I've had acne for the longest period of time on my back as
You
well.
know, it's called acne.
Yeah.
Acne?
Yeah.
All right. But sir, very quickly, when we're talking about acne, God forbid, I see, it's those little red
Yeah.
spots on your skin.
Yeah.
And, they do not go away. At times, it's very itchy as well.
Yeah.
So, what is the first line of treatment, for people who are out there? How do you think it can be avoided before we actually have to go to the doctor? Do you think we can avoid it ourselves?
No, I don't think so, because acne has, most of the time, it has a family history.
Yeah.
and it occurs more in some families, and there are other reasons also that if someone has more sebum production, and it also causes acne. And further, if as you asked me that if we go for the first line treatment, we go for the topical treatment, and we give antibiotic, and also we give isotretinoin, and these are called the retinoids, and these are vitamin A derivatives, and then most of the time it is treated well. But what is more important, that we should tell our audience that acne can reoccur. Yeah, matlab, we
It
can.
goes away, it can come back.
Yeah, it goes away. Once we treat it, it goes away. But it can reoccur.
It's like karma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, but listen, so if we say that we did cure acne,
Yeah.
so are you also saying that it's never fully curable?
It is curable. Once we treat it, it is curable, but it can reoccur. First of all, if we treat it and it may goes on after a month or two, it depends on the severity of the acne. Then accordingly, we have to treat it. And if we treat it and after that, it can reoccur. What I want to say,
Yeah.
that it can reoccur, and it is the disease of teenager and the youngsters.
Okay.
And we may say that it may start around 13 to 14 years, and most of the time it goes on for 7 to 8 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so no, very quickly, because we want to move on to melasma over here as well. I know, Shizad, that you actually have something to ask as well. I want to do a little bit of myth busting over here as well, because
let's
in
do
our
that.
household, I've always heard, बेटा अंडे नहीं खाओ गर्म होते हैं, बेटा काजू नहीं खाओ गर्म होते हैं, इस वजह से skin पे issues आ रहे हैं. There's certain issues which are relevant to the kind of eating habits you have as well. Do you think that, in case of acne and melasma, it is very persistent or prevalent because of the kind of food intake habits you have?
First of all, I want to clear that what is garam and thandi diet is.
Yeah. I think whatever is expensive in a Pakistani household is garam. Whatever is sasta is thanda. Yeah.
I want to tell you that what garam is. The food that produce more HCl in our.
For example?
Stomach.
Yeah. For example, we can say it as you're telling that dry fruits.
Okay.
Yeah. It produces more acid in our stomach, so we may call it garam.
Okay.
And the thing like that, the food who are alkaline in nature, and they to some extent neutralize the production of acid in our body, so we may call it thanda. But as far as acne is concerned, I want to tell you, the people who don't go for the treatment of acne, they must know it that it has certain complication, that if we don't treat it, it may goes on for acne scarring. And then we will have to treat it. And
Dr. Saab, before we talk about the final solutions, I want you to add something more to it. And I did hear it or read it somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, taking steroids or other medicines for that matter, which might alter your hormones.
Or contraceptive medicines.
Contraceptives for that matter, can cause acne in a later stage, not necessarily teenage. Is it true?
we can relate it to melasma.
Okay, not acne.
Not acne. As
Let's move on to melasma. What
yeah.
is melasma first of all?
Melasma is basically the pigmentation on the skin, and it mostly occurs on the face,
I mean, I've
which
heard
is
the term
cosmetically.
pigmentation, but I certainly
Sorry?
don't know how it might look.
It's proper dark patches on your face.
Dark
right?
patches on the face, and most of our females are more concerned about the dark patches and
Yeah,
the
because it
melasma.
hides your true face.
Yeah, definitely. Both of these diseases, acne and melasma, and these produce these causes the low confidence level, because it directly our face, and so it's necessary to address these diseases. And we have treatment options. Like if we go for acne, we can treat it with the medicines, and if there is, as I told you before, that it has complication of acne scarring. And for the treatment of acne scarring, we go for CO2 fractional laser. We do PRP with the microneedling, and it has very good results.
But
And
can the client choose कि मुझे ये करवाना है, or do you suggest them depending on their condition?
It depends on the cost effective. Some people come that what is the price of the CO2 fractional laser and what is the price of the PRP, and we told about the procedure, that what CO2 fractional laser is and what PRP is. Then it depends that either they go for CO2 fractional laser and PRP. And further, if most of the people are concerned about the downtime. Downtime, what downtime? I explain a little bit about the downtime. Downtime depends. Downtime is that after how many days they will be on their normal routine. As if we go for CO2 fractional laser, then there is a peeling of skin, and it takes almost 1 week to come on their normal routine. And if you go for the PRP, it takes almost 48 to 72 hours. We may call it 3 days. Then they come to their normal routine. And then if we move to the melasma, as Ms. Shiza was asking me that what melasma is and pigmentation is and what are the causes of the melasma. The hormonal disturbance, pregnancy, and sun exposure.
Stress, anxiety, does it have to do
Stress,
anything with-
anxiety, we can say it. Stress, anxiety disturb the sleeps and sleep. Then they disturb our skin condition. And after sleep disturbance, we may have dark circles. We may have, to some extent, we lose the freshness of the skin.
Okay.
And the treatment of melasma is we go for Q-switch laser again, and then we go for PRP with microneedling, and then we go for topical preparation, like we have different creams, and these are very much effective in melasma and pigmentation.
Okay, so then do you think that there's going to be a downtime with the laser interventions of the treatment?
Laser, it depends. As I told you that CO2 fractional laser has 1 week downtime, and as Q-switch laser has no downtime. It is used for not only for the melasma, it also...
I've seen instant results with Q-switch.
Sorry?
I think I've seen instant results with Q-switch.
Yeah, Q-switch has instant results,
Yeah.
and it also used for the skin glow.
But now, sir, with melasma and with those dark patches, what I've witnessed is that that people actually do not have an even skin.
Even tone.
Yeah,
Yeah, even skin,
I'm
even
not
tone.
even talking about even tone. I'm talking about even skin. So we see patches where there's a little bit of I don't know how to kind of explain it as well, but we see that जैसे उर्दू में आम अल्फाज में इसको कहते हैं खड्डे पड़े हुए होते हैं skins के अंदर. So what I've seen with the Q-switch, that the Q-switch was actually going to take away all of those whatever dark matter is on your skin, but it's not going to fill the skin up, the way skin is actually supposed to be. So how do we treat that? Because वो जो
And
खड्डे
the
होते हैं, I
condition
don't know
that he's
what do
talking
we call them?
Are they the acne leftover, the scars that you're talking about? Is it always
Yeah, the
that?
same scar. You're talking about the acne scars.
Okay.
The खड्डे, in आम ज़बान में जो हम इसको खड्डे बोलते हैं,
Yeah.
acne, in our medical terminology,
Because
it
I've
is
seen
known-
melasma within acne scars.
Yeah, it may be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it may be. And with acne scars, we treat with the CO2 fractional laser.
Okay.
And melasma, we treat with the Q-switch laser.
Yeah.
And most of the females are concerned that we have melasma after pregnancy.
Okay.
Pregnancy is the major cause of melasma.
All right.
But isn't
And-
that natural darkening of certain parts of skin during pregnancy? Or
Yeah,
should it,
it
need
is.
medical attention?
It is natural to some. We can say it is natural, and most of the time it is induced in the third semester or third trimester of pregnancy, and we can treat it. But it depends that it may also goes on for 6 months, for 1 year, and for 2 years also.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But sir, very quickly towards the end, there's one last thing which I wanted to ask, and that is that last time when I had to visit PIMS,
Yeah.
I only had to pay 5 rupees or 10 rupees to get any sort of treatment done. Now with dermatology and with lasers and aesthetics, it's a very different umbrella altogether as well. So for people coming in with acne or melasma or whatever kind of laser is required, PIMS is going to do it for 10 rupees, or are there other charges
Or
for that
5
too?
rupees.
Because otherwise the entire Islamabad is going to be outside PIMS. Hey sir, laser karwani hai.
I'll be in the front of the queue.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
please
go
let us know.
First of all, I welcome Ms. Shiza that you may come to my clinic anytime. And the second is this, that as far as PIMS is concerned, most of the time in PIMS we treat the diseases.
Yeah.
We can give the medicines there.
So acne and melasma will work.
Acne and melasma, for both of these
Because
issues,
they are
we can
diseases, yeah.
we can treat them with the medicines there at PIMS.
Okay.
But for the lasers, you will have to come my clinic, and
Alright.
that is in F8 Merkaz Islamabad Specialist Clinic. We have lasers there,
Yeah.
and for that you have to come there. And one thing I want to tell you that it is a myth, as we were discussing before, that sun exposure is very good for the vitamin D production.
Yeah.
No doubt, it is very good. And but what I want to tell you that it is we need 10 to 15 minutes of sun exposure in the morning time, especially 7 to 9 a.m. It is recommended to go for the sun exposure for 10 to 15 minutes, and it is in the morning.
And do we have to put sunscreen on, or we do not have to put sunscreen on?
No, in the morning you don't need to put sunscreen, but at the daytime, definitely. But at the daytime you will have to put on sunscreen. In common words, we call it sunblock.
Yeah.
And sunblock that has more SPF, yeah, sun protection factor, more than 30.
Okay.
That is good for the to protect us from the ultraviolet rays.
Yeah.
Got it.
And ultraviolet rays are very damaging to skin. Most of the time we produce the wrinkles, we produce the melasma, and the thing like that. So to avoid these issues, I recommend everyone that to go for good sunblock and keep yourself inside,
yeah.
and avoid sun exposure at daytime. And if you are so much interested for the vitamin D, you may go for the supplements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Dr. Mubashir Daha Saab, for joining us. It was wonderful to have you over here. And for everybody, God forbid, ladies and gentlemen, if you're living with acne or melasma, we've talked about the treatments. It's 100% curable. It can reoccur, but obviously it can go back again as well to being normal. So please make sure that you're not stressed, because a lot of people take a lot of stress. God forbid, if there's something wrong with their skin, please make sure that you look after yourselves. And please, for all of those people who are actually spending a fortune onto these laser and aesthetic treatments, it's just going to cost you 1,000 rupees to get a sunblock, and your skin's going to be perfect.
Or less, not necessarily even 1,000.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you still have any questions regarding this, of course, next week we will be having another segment on specifically about dermatology, so we'll incorporate those. You have to write to us to let us know on our social media pages. Facebook with the name of?
With the name of World This Morning. On Instagram, it's World This Morning, PTV World. On
Yes.
Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G. Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
Take care.